This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
They come to the 8th ball, and California Chrome is absolutely sensational. California Chrome shines bright in the Kentucky Derby.
Will take charges surging, and it's a photo finish. It's too close to call.
African Story wins the Dubai World Cup.
Macho Man!
Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Racing Across America. I'm Anthony Mormina, sitting in for Seth Merrow. Seth is on assignment down at Belmont Park as we are on the eve of the Belmont Stakes and California Chrome's attempt to become the 12th winner of the American Triple Crown Series. We had Seth on earlier on the Handicappers Report, and the weather industry appears to have gotten this right after yesterday morning, the rain that ceased yesterday late in the morning, and look, you saw a beautiful day sunshine-wise yesterday at Belmont Park, even though they were off the turf and the dirt was listed as muddy. The positive type of weather has continued into the 70s today and then perhaps into the 80s tomorrow morning. So whatever moisture remains on the dirt track, they were harrowing it yesterday. I would fully expect it to be gone. And as John DeSilva, who joined us yesterday from racingwithbruno.com, said, you hope after a major weather that and a big race day that the racetrack tomorrow and today and every day, but certainly on a huge athletic contest, plays as fair as it could possibly. But remember, if you detect or you believe you detected something, the way the racetrack is playing, you would be wise to bet horses according to that. It is tough to run against the grain of the track, and what a track day of races we're going to have tomorrow. Now remember, there's 10 today at Belmont. The late double, you have the 6 furlong nice sprint for Olders in the True North. And then on the turf at 2 miles, you're going to have the Belmont Gold Cup Invitational this afternoon. So a turf race at 2 miles. I think cup racing, as it were, used to be defined as races that were at least 2 miles. I mean, in the old days, I think up until the early 70s, the Jockey Club Gold Cup, if you remember, was 2 miles held at Aqueduct, and they used to start at the 7 furlong pole and then run 1.5 laps. So a new race on the docket this afternoon. And then, of course, tomorrow at 11:35 will be the first post 13 race card. They're hoping to wrap it up at 8:12 p.m. post time for the 13th race. There's 2 walkout races. I almost wish that there was 3. 6:52 is the scheduled time on NBC for the Belmont Stakes. The type of spring day they are anticipating, I don't think could be more perfect. It's not going to be oppressively warm. It's going to be a perfect spring day, and the crowd size, pick any number you want. I mean, I wouldn't go north of 130,000, but pick any number in the 6 figures you would like at Belmont Park. This race this year, this Triple Crown effect is getting so much attention. The years just keep adding on. We're up to 36 since the spring of my freshman year in high school, when Affirm beat Alyadar all 3 times in that Titanic series. But California Chrome in a spot where many others have been since Affirmed, and all of them have failed. Some as brief a distance as a whisker for Real Quiet in '98. For others, such as O2 with Victor Espinoza and War Emblem, never got a run at it in 2002. So for me, who likes sports to play out the way they play, not that interested in stories, at least for Victor Espinoza as an athlete, he had no opportunity in 2002, but now he hopefully will get a fair shot at performing and to see if his steed is good enough to get his plaque immediately in the Hall of Fame, or unquestionably in the Hall of Fame, or if he just has to continue a terrific career. But California Chrome 3-5. I just want to touch on a couple other thoughts at Belmont Park, at least for tomorrow, with the racing that has flown under the radar screen in many, many outlets. earlier when I was talking to Seth Merrill of Equidaily.com and Capital Off Track Betting, Seth's site is such a great clearinghouse for articles, and you know, tough to find articles on who I think is the best dirt horse in the United States, which is Palace Malice in one of the great races. But how about the Brooklyn? At 1.5 miles, and you'll often hear on the telecast for the Belmont, these horses won't be asked to go 1.5 miles on the dirt ever again. Well, ever again, for some horses, was much sooner than they thought. Why? Because Golden Soul will be asked to go 1.5 miles on the dirt again after having run in the Belmont last year, scheduled to go in the Brooklyn. You remember that the Brooklyn for many years was the final leg of the handicap Triple Crown. Last one 30 years ago by Fit to Fight. Used to be the Met Mile on Memorial Day, then it would be the Suburban on Independence Day, and then I think the last Saturday of the Belmont Park meet before they came up to Saratoga, I think that's when they used to run the Grade 1 12 furlong Brooklyn. Then the last 20 years, it's had a rough history. It went to the late autumn at Aqueduct. It might have even been contested on the inner dirt one time. I don't know, but they've tried to revive it at 12 furlongs, and now it's going to be run as the first stakes race, graded stakes race on Saturday afternoon. And we have a horse running 1.5 miles in graded stakes action on the dirt for the second time in his career. The Jaipur. This would be the 8th story on Saturday afternoon. Ben's Cat, who I'm told, or read on Twitter, I forget, probably read on Twitter, that Ben's Cat is going to van up tomorrow for the Jaipur. And the Jaipur is a race that I love. I do wish it was back to 7/8. For many years, it was the only graded stakes turf sprint in New York. This was before we had even turf sprint racing on a daily occurrence. Now, on Friday afternoon at Belmont Park, we're going to have juveniles going 5 furlongs on the turf at Belmont, but 6 furlongs tomorrow in the Grade 3 Jaipur, with Ben's Cat vanning up tomorrow afternoon. One of the great stories over the last couple of years. It's been a strong Mid-Atlantic story, but when you've banked nearly $2 million the old-fashioned way by earning it, and I say that facetiously because all thoroughbreds earn their money, but it is tough to get up to $2 million turf sprinting. Not very many big pots out there once you get past the Breeders' Cup, but field of 11 in the Jaipur, which is 6 furlongs tomorrow with Ben's Cat, a terrific story coming up to New York, for, Belmont for the first time. 5th race on the card, the Woody Stephens, the Old River Ridge. Fantastic race. Bayern draws the rail. That could be a little tough. Social inclusion in the field of 13 makes, I think, a very sharp decision to go 7/8 for what many of us think is an extremely talented runner. But a field of 13 in the Woody Stephens. Then you have the Acorn, 3-year-old fillies. No, we didn't get Untappable, but we did get 13 in the Grade 1 going 1 mile. Fantastic. Then you have the Ogden Phipps. We only have 6. But we have the Titanic Big 3, close hatches drawing the rail on the 30th anniversary of Bill Mott's inaugural Grade 1 victory in New York in the Hempstead. The Just a Game, a Grade 1 getting no talk for the fillies on the turf. My race, the Metropolitan Mile. Palace Malice 124 draws the rail. Normandy Invasion, 70 years plus 1 day after D-Day, I think is going to run big in the 3rd start of the year, cutting back to the 1-turn mile. Then you have the Grade 1 Manhattan for $1 million, now sponsored by Knob Creek. And then you get to the Belmont Stakes. Ladies and gentlemen, the New York Race Association has done a great job, and obviously they could not have predicted the fields would have come up as great, as super great as they have become. It is going to be one of the greatest days of betting you will ever come across. The field size, the competitive nature of it, the historical nature of these races, whether it's the Metropolitan, whether it is the Ogden Phipps or the Belmont Stakes or others. This is just an unbelievable gift wrapping up the first week in June 2014. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
think there's any event in racing, or maybe you could argue any event in sports, that's any more exciting than the Triple Crown at stake. Especially with historical significance, hasn't been done in so long. I mean, there's a tremendous electricity to the air.
Would you be excited for it?
Yeah. As a racing fan, I'll be as excited as anyone.
I'm Seth Merrill. Join me Friday and Saturday, June 6th and 7th, when I'll be reporting live from the backstretch at Belmont. We'll be speaking with top trainers and analysts, getting insights on all of the stakes action from Belmont Stakes Day. All the best right here on Capital OTB TV.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3. Place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms: Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, and amazing Vegas-style atmosphere. The Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Oh yeah, I mean the Beholder race with closed hatches and Princess of Silmar, that's like a Breeders' Cup Distaff race, you know? How great is that? And then to have the Met Mile, like, this is like having Christmas presents to open, you know, and it's like, we already got a car. We already had a car for Christmas, and now look. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Racing Across America. I'm Anthony Mormino, sitting in for Seth Merrill. Seth Merrill down at Belmont Park for this incredible day of racing. Tomorrow, and heck, not chopped liver this afternoon. 10 races with 2 stakes races on the back end of the card. But now we're going to turn our attention to the Jersey Shoreway, and certainly not a bad place to spend the summer. Monmouth Park running on Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. And coming in, Brian Shirka joins us from Monmouth Park. Brian, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Anthony?
Not bad, not bad. It's, you know, it is a great time of year to be a horse racing fan. You know, when ESPN Sports Center is tweeting out stuff about horse racing, it's got to be a big to-do, and it certainly is.
Yeah, no, that's pretty awesome. We love every bit of coverage that we can get. It'll obviously help, you know, not only just this weekend with the Belmont, but hopefully it'll, you know, get some people coming out to the track throughout the whole year. So we wish California Chrome the best of luck in his quest tomorrow, but we got some of our own racing going on as well, and we'll take a look at that right now. All
right, then. Where would you like to start off down at Monmouth Park?
Let's go to race 5. We got a 10-race card today. We are on the turf. We had a little bit of rain yesterday, but it dried out pretty quickly, so we're back on the turf today. Turf expected to be firm by the time we get on the grass action today. I'm going to start in race number 5, a claimer for 12-5, tag down to 10-5. I'm going to look at the 6 horse in there, Wildcat Sierra, 5-1 on the morning line. Interesting claim for me last time, claimed by J. Willard Thompson. He's a an old-time trainer. He's been here at Monmouth Park forever, and he doesn't really claim many. So when you see his name claiming one, that always kind of, my eye kind of gets drawn to that. Willard having a good meet so far, 4 wins from 13 starters. Had a good meet last year, too. So I thought the claim here was interesting, and I like this horse's running style as it suits this race. This one likes to be relatively close to the pace, has a little tactical speed in this race. It doesn't look like there's that much speed at all. So maybe this one even ends up on the front end and tries to take him slowly all the way around. I like Wildcat Sierra, 5-1 morning line in race 5.
I'll tell you, Brian, I'm right next door to you. Cross Mountain, I thought, to me that last race was a throwout. He intrigues me greatly, especially at 8-1. But, I saw, I'm 50 years of age, Brian, and Willard Thompson has been, on the radar screen for me really for 30 years, and obviously there's some quiet times, but noticed that he had been having, at this young meet at Monmouth Park, some great success. And my first thought was, geez, is that still J. Willard, Thompson, the older gentleman, and not a son or a nephew or anything? And it's great to see a man who's been around the game, as you said, the Jersey area for as long as I'm sure anyone can remember, having good success. More thoughts on Monmouth Park this afternoon? Yeah,
I'm going to go a couple races down the road. Race number 7, this one on the turf as well, $20,000 claimers here. I'm going to try the 6 horse again there, Alki John. He's a horse Over the years, he's had plenty of success here at Monmouth on the lawn, 9 career starts, 3 wins, 3 seconds, and kind of interesting with him. You look through his PTs, he kind of goes up and down in class. You know, he'll drop in for a lower price claimer and run well, and then his connections will move him up a little bit in price. Maybe start run him in a starter allowance. He doesn't do so well, but he's back in for a relatively low claiming price today. $20,000 is the tag. He's back over a turf course that we know he really likes. Those races that he ran down at Gulfstream, he won one of them. Those are just really tough races. I mean, the turf racing at Gulfstream is close to impossible, especially when you get in those, you know, upper-level starter allowance races. So he's just running against much, much better horses in those races. Drops in against a little easier today. As we said, he likes the turf course, and I like the price 9-2 with Gabriel Saez aboard. Saez was aboard him for his last victory back on December 13th at Gulfstream. We'll try him at 9-2. Number 6, Alki John in race 7.
Well, we are on the same page in the 7th race. Anything else for us from this afternoon?
Yeah, I'll take a stab in one more race, the 9th race on the turf as well. I like these grass races, 5 furlongs on the turf. I'm going to try Raro, same connections as the last horse, Alki John I just picked. Eddie Broom is the trainer. Julian Pimentel aboard this one. Interesting cutback for me for Raro. He's a horse who we're very familiar with here on the Jersey Shore, also does some good running on the Monmouth lawn. He's a horse who usually is running a mile and a 16th, but his MO is he has a very short burst of speed. You know, he's one of those horses that looks like for the entire race he's just totally full of run, and then when he goes, he can go really hard. When she goes, she can go really hard for, you know, maybe a quarter of a mile at the most, and then sometimes she flattens out in her races. So I'm interested to see what she does in this 5 furlong race. You know, maybe that'll allow her to use her good kick for more of the race. Raro for me, 6-1 morning line in race 9.
And I said this to our audience earlier this morning, Brian, that going back 25 plus years, well ahead of the curve, Monmouth Park ran these 5 furlong turf sprints with abundance because they would often come up split divisions. And I'm going back to the 80s, and Monmouth Park loved them, and New York trainers would ship over there. Those races would be filled up. And then when I saw the overnights come out and I saw a 5 furlong finale, a little smile came to my face. Brian, first up, the Belmont Park card tomorrow. Other than the Belmont Stakes and its laden card, any thoughts leading up to the Belmont before we get your opinion of the Belmont?
I do. I have one horse that I'm looking at. I'm not exactly sure how I'm gonna play the race yet. It's the Met Mile. You know, Palace Malice is in there obviously, so he's drawn the rail. He's 8-5. You know, he looks like, you know, unless something happens there from his number 1 post position, he looks like he's going to be right there. He's just running, you know, races that are, you know, probably as good as anyone in the country right now. Right. But I've been on the 10 horse in there clearly now for a while. You know, I thought he was a good horse last year. Looking to see what he would bring now in his 4-year-old year. I thought his race in the Carter was a throwout for 2 reasons. One is it was first start of the year. 2, I didn't like the trip he got in there. You know, some traffic, and still came running at the end. So I bet him back last time out in the Churchill Downs on Derby Day. He got pinched a little bit at the start. I still thought he was actually going to have a chance to get there at the wire around the far turn. He made a big move and then just flattened out. Hopefully that wasn't him hanging, as it says in the running line. Hopefully it was more that he was further back than he's used to be, and he had to exude more energy just to get in contention around the far turn. So now 3rd race off the way off, Jose Lezcano back aboard, who rode him a couple times last year. He's 10-1 on the morning line. I'm going to get him involved somehow, whether it's in an exacta with Palace Malice. Definitely going to play him, you know, to win in case something happens with Palace Malice. But I'll be keying clearly now in the Met Mile. You know, based on the way, you know, everything's going to unfold tomorrow with the Triple Crown and California Chrome. But that set aside, this Metropolitan Mile with, you know, you're starting with, to me, the best horse on dirt in the United States. He drew the rail. He's got 124. But, Brian, this race, I think you could make a case, getting beyond the 8-5 1-9 favorite, for about 6 horses who not only previously have shown good efforts, but seem to be coming into this race as well as their connections could possibly want. This is, Ryan, for me, and I love the Met, is probably one of the best additions in about the last 30 years, and I'm glad that there's 13, and I'd say any one of about 7 won this race. Regardless of the mutual, I would not be surprised. I mean, clearly now, to me, he is right in the mix, as you said, at 10-1, and the toughest part for the handicapper is going to be, how do you want to play this race? Because I'll tell you what, drawing the rail for Palace Malice and giving 124 to everybody, how about giving 8 pounds to Normandy Invasion, and probably Normandy Invasion running maybe his best distance, a 1-turn mile? I mean, No, I'm with you. This race is totally wide open. There's one of a number that you could use in there, and it's just a great race. Like you said, not that you wouldn't point for the Met anyway. It's obviously a prestigious race, but now, it's $1.25 million. It's on Belmont Day. So I'm sure not only are these horses, the best horses in the country on dirt at this distance, but they're absolutely pointed for their A-plus race on this day, too. It'll be a great race.
And before I get your thoughts on the Belmont, your thoughts on the Ogden Phipps, a rarity in our sport this day and age when in early June we have a showdowns between the three best older fillier mares in the country.
Yeah, just an unbelievable race again. It has to come down to one of those three. They're far and away the best, fillies and mares in the race. They just dominate on paper. So, again, are you going to play this race, in terms of exactas? Probably not. This is one of those races that you look at, and, maybe it's just something that you take your handicapping hat off for a moment and just watch as a fan. Because, like you said, the three of these horses, they're just unsteppable. They're far and away, not only the best fillies in the country, you can put them right up there with the best horses in the country. So, maybe you just sit back and, at the top of the stretch, I can't imagine that the three of these fillies are going to be, more than a length of apart. And let's just hope it's a three-horse throwdown to the wire and something that, in addition to the Triple Crown bid, you could say, 5-10 years from now, hey, I was at Belmont when, Close Hatches, Beholder, and Princess of Sylmar went neck to neck to neck all the way to the wire. It should be something pretty special.
Absolutely. That it brings us to about 6:52 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, the 146th running of the Belmont.
What can you say, really? I'm taking off work here at Monmouth, don't tell anyone, to go to the Belmont. This is why, those of us who work in horse racing do, for a race like this, for the chance to see California Chrome do something that I'm only 28, so I've never seen in my lifetime. A number of us out there never have.
Sure.
It's just something that is, maybe a once-in-a-lifetime thing. The nation seems to have picked up on California Chrome's story. Not that they wouldn't for another Triple Crown winner, but, the story from almost obviously, rags to riches has just, captivated the country. So he has pretty much the rooting interest of all the casual fans out there. It's going to be, it'll be interesting to see how well, those of us who like to bet the races on a daily basis, how can we separate the handicapping side of it from the fan side of it? Because I know, handicapping aside, I'm sure we all love them to win the Triple Crown. It'll do a great deal from the sport.
Yes.
But it's also a gamble. It's a gambling game. So you gotta look at the PPs and say, hey, he's going to be 1 to 5 or 1 to 9, just based on the fact of how many tens of thousands of dollars are going to be bet on him in $2 win tickets just in souvenirs, and there's going to be big prices around. Obviously, the distance is a question not only for him, for anyone else. Wicked Strong for me is a horse that, if there's an upsetter, I think it's him. I could see, we've seen it happen before. California Chrome opens a, probably 2-3 length lead at the top of the stretch, and, maybe that last 100 yards gets to him a little bit. I think Wicked Strong will be the horse who will be coming fastest.
Brian, I'm in complete accord with you. When I take the rubber band off the bankroll to bet, though, history can wait for me because it waits for no man, but I will be betting. I love Wicked Strong. To me, the 5-week layoff is an edge. What happened in the Kentucky Derby, when I bet horses, if one horse has, in my opinion, a perfect trip, and the other horse had some really compromising situations, and then down the road, one of them's 1 to 5 and one of them's 6 to 1, I'm going to take my chances because I agree with you. I think Wicked Strong comes into this race. The pedigree, I believe, is absolutely right there for him, and I wasn't surprised that he was made the second choice of the morning line, and I think he is going to be heck to pay. I know all eyes will be on California Chrome for the obvious reasons, but I have to tell you, I will be very, very surprised if Wicked Strong doesn't run an incredibly good race, which bodes well for California Chrome because if he is an immortal horse, I think he's going to have to run one of the races of his life to win the Triple Crown. And for me, Brian, that's the way it should be.
No, I agree 100%. If you're going to win the Triple Crown, you have to earn it. It's not an easy thing to do. It shouldn't be an easy thing to do. It should not be changed from what it is now. Horses don't deserve to win the. They don't deserve the right to be given the Triple Crown. They should have to earn it, and California Chrome is going to earn it. I think post number 2, I actually think it makes it a little tougher on him because now he has he has 9 horses to his outside who are all going to be wanting to pin him in and keep him in trouble the whole way. I think that makes it tougher for him. But like you said, if he's going to be a Triple Crown horse, a horse is going to win all 3 legs of the Triple Crown, he's going to have to earn it, which is the way it should be. I think he's going to have to hold off Wicked Strong in the stretch. I think, as you said, the Derby for Wicked Strong did not go, as well as I'm sure they wanted it. They got the far outside post. They had traffic on more than one occasion. He was weaving his way through the stretch, still making up ground. As you said, that pedigree, hopefully the added distance will help him. And apparently people were raving about his last work. So let's see if California Chrome can hold him off.
All right, Brian. Well, you have a nice day playing hooky tomorrow, and trust me, we won't tell any of your bosses.
All right, sounds good. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to weaving my way through that 120,000 person crowd, and hopefully I'll pull off a Wicked Strong upset.
As I used to do when I'd go down to the Belmont Stakes with large crowds or the Breeders' Cup, I'd bring a book, and when I got back to my car, I'd read for about an hour and then make my way out. Now you just fire up the iPad and you're all set. Have a great time tomorrow afternoon.
Thanks, Anthony.
We'll talk to you down the road. Brian Shirka, ladies and gentlemen, from Monmouth Park, joining us with a couple of selections and thoughts on tomorrow afternoon's Belmont Stakes, where he will be headed for a great day of racing. We'll be right back.
Oh, I think it's an edge. I think it's an edge, and I think that's, one of the many reasons why the Triple Crown's so hard to win. When you get horses like Wicked Strong and Tonalist and horses like that are proven to be good horses and have the additional time in between races, that's what makes it tough for the California Chromes and the horses that compete, in the middle leg.
On Preakness Day, no one brought you more insight, more analysis, and more information crucial to the professional horse player than OTB TV, with live coverage from Pimlico, including Pimlico track announcer Dave Rodman, HorsePlayerNow.com's Brian Nadow, and none other than California Chrome's exercise rider Willie Delgado, each with their own expert analysis and first-hand look at track conditions and early morning workouts. So for the very latest racing news and opinions, keep it right here on OTB TV.
Well, for a moment there, I thought I was going to get him at the 8th pole because he had dead aim on him. But, he ran up to him, but Chrome kind of took off a little more. But it was pretty exciting,
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Racing Across America. I'm Anthony Mormino, sitting in for Seth Merrill, who is live down at Belmont Park for the last couple days. He'll be there tomorrow afternoon amongst the probably 120,000 people, which figures to be one of the great days in American sports, and certainly one of the great days in thoroughbred racing in the last generation. And that is always wonderful to say about this beautiful sport. And as we said earlier this morning, that when ESPN Sports Center tweets out about horse racing, it's a start of a very good day. And continuing on with that good start, we bring in Dave Rodman from Pimlico Racetrack. Dave, good morning.
Hi, good morning. How you doing, Anthony? We've got a second last day for the meet here at Pimlico. Today, tomorrow.
I've told people that, pay attention because Belmont Stakes Day is closing day down at Pimlico, and it'll be a while before we have Dave Rodman's voice in live racing in the state of Maryland. Closing day.
Yeah, you won't hear it today. We have a celebrity race caller day here, so I get a day off from calling.
Does that mean you go first?
No. Yeah, I get to introduce them, the local media guys. We did it last year and got a lot of local publicity with it. They had fun doing it. Some of the guys are really prepared, and they've really tried to study and ask questions, and others are just going to kind of come in and wing it. So it won't be my voice today.
All right.
But
well, rest it up for closing day tomorrow.
Okay.
And I'll tell you one thing that... two quick things. I know some people will blog as they will do after this. I do think it's a fun idea. I'll tell you a quick story. Years ago, the Meadowlands, Dave, this is going back about 25 years ago. the Meadowlands used to run a contest. And the prize for the contest was, if you won it, and they had classes, and I forget who was, there was a one-judge jury. And if you won it, you got to, on a given night, you got to select a race on the card, and the winner would almost always select a two-turn race with about 5 horses in it. And I'll tell you a funny story. I actually practiced for it, and then they didn't have it that fall, and they never had it again. That was like,
well, today, I think our shortest field today may be 7. We have a lot of big fields, so it's more difficult this year for our guest callers today, for the media guys, than it was last year. That's for sure. I remember a time too when I'm not sure whether it was Santa Anita. I believe it was Santa Anita had a special booth where you could actually pay to get up there and call a race, and they'd give you the DVD.
Oh.
I know it was either Santa Anita or Del Mar, and it wasn't too long ago, probably in the 90s when.
Well, I got to tell you something, Dave. That sounds like one of the best promotions I've ever heard at a racetrack. I mean, that is a sensational opportunity because I'm sure you've probably heard it from time to time. I know I hear it as a public handicapper, and baseball managers suffer through it, and that is everybody thinks you could do your job. Well, step into the booth, knock yourself out, listen to the DVD, and see how easy it is to call a 6-furlong sprint with 12 horses in the middle of winter.
I was joking on Twitter that you know, we may have 10 more applicants for the NYRA job after today.
Yeah, I think you have about 10 people going, we don't do this until next year again. I think there's a better chance of that this afternoon. Dave, before we get into Pimlico today, obviously, what a great day. I mean, there are not adjectives in my vocabulary that can do justice to the card tomorrow, the field size, the competitive nature. I was talking to Seth Merrill about his Equidaily.com, Dave, and I said, I have purposely been scouring it to see how many articles I could read the fact that what I think is the best dirt horse in America is running in one of the greatest races in America, and I can't find anything about Palace Malice and this brilliant addition of the Met Mile that has 13 in it. That's how powerful the California Chrome Triple Crown story has become.
Yes, it has. I mean, it seems like everywhere you turn, it's all about California Chrome. But, you know, the guys that follow racing, you know, even sporadically will look at the card and say, this is one of the greatest cards, you know, you've ever seen. And the Met Mile is certainly one of the toughest races to handicap that I've seen in a long, long time. I've only really looked at 3 races, the Belmont, the Met Mile, and I looked at Ben's Cat race in the Jaipur, obviously, because of a local interest. He's won 20 stakes races, and he's going back to New York once more, and, you know, appears to be in a good spot in there. He's going to get a lot of play, and he's a big local favorite here.
I mean, it's King Leatherberry and Ben's Cat is about the 8th story on Saturday, and it is a tremendous story. I was talking earlier on the Handicappers Report. Ben's Cat is nearing $2 million, and for him, it's not like the inflated purses, because turf sprint racing purses is about the equivalent to big-time stakes races 30 years ago. And he's earned almost $2 million the very hard way.
And he's done it so consistently year after year after year at the age of 8, and he doesn't seem to have lost a step in any of his, you know, in any of his form, really. I mean, he's consistently putting up high numbers, sometimes triple-digit numbers. He's done it on the turf. He's done it on the dirt. Granted, he may not be the best two-turn turf horse you've seen in a long time, but you got to admire how King Leatherberry has really kept Ben's Cat going, and a horse who had really no right to ever race with his issues that he had before he had run. And he's a local star here. People love Ben's Cat in the Mid-Atlantic, and I think he's getting a national name now. But it's an ultra-tough race for him tomorrow. I mean, as all the races at Belmont tomorrow afternoon.
Well, they're supposed to be, as Woody Stevens used to say, when the buildings get tall, the waters get deep. Quick question on the Ogden Phipps, which I think is a titanic showdown on different fronts. Obviously, Princess of Silmar, very sporting last year. They went out west. They lost the 3-year-old championship. Beholder, I think, is going almost for immortality, Dave, because I have to tell you, I think if she comes east and wins tomorrow, she's already a 2-year-old and 3-year-old champion. I don't think there's ever been a filly in the Eclipse Award era to win all 3. There's been a couple of colts. They're pretty famous, Spectacular Bid, Slew, Affirm, but a filly, I don't think anyone's won 2, 3, and 4-year-olds. And I think Beholder will go a long way tomorrow if she's good enough. And kudos to Richard Mandela for coming east.
Outstanding matchup. I think our regional interest, will be in Princess Silmar, since she's a PA bred.
Yes.
And she's got a lot of support in this area, and I kind of like her tomorrow. I mean, I'm taking anything away from Beholder, but if I were to play the race, that would be my pick in the race, the Princess of Silmar. She's 1-for-1 at Belmont. You gotta go over that, and I think she'll get a great setup tomorrow.
Yeah, it looks like, Dave, the other 5 in there all have some sort of tactical early upfront speed, and Princess of Silmar probably sitting in a very attractive catbird seat. Before we get to Pimlico, any your thoughts on the Belmont Stakes?
Well, I kind of like the same horse you like as the only horse to really kind of upset California Chrome, and that would be Wicked Strong. And I don't know how much of a, I guess it would be certainly and obviously an upset since there's so many people in the California Chrome bandwagon. But he's the kind of horse I think will play out in the post parade how he's going to run. He's had some quirky issues and they've had to work with him a little bit. And but to me, they're the 2 fastest horses in the race. I would not put it past him to see him maybe no less than 4th or 5th, a lot closer than you think at Belmont tomorrow. I think it really comes down to California Chrome and whether Wicked Strong will run his top race as he did when beating Samrat in the Wood. I mean, California Chrome, to me, is just, as Chick Anderson said, Secretary moving like a tremendous machine. This horse is almost really like a machine. I mean, he ran, the way I do my speed figures, he ran his almost career top, really, in the Preakness rather than the Derby.
Yes.
And rather than, I'm sorry, in the Preakness rather than a Santa Anita Derby. And for a horse who's been followed so closely, obviously, you get to see him every day. You get to see every gallop, every move, every step he takes. He has not lost a single beat, which is very, very unusual. How many times do you see horses run big races and then, where is he the next day? Well, he's in the stall right now. We're just walking him today. He just seems to want to go out there and do it. He gets better and better. He's a freakishly good colt. And, you've got to respect him. I mean, the only thing I think that would stop him would be unforeseen circumstance, like a War Emblem type stumble, unforeseen traffic. From post 2, maybe Victor decides to get early position and he gets aggressive and tries to run off a little quicker than Victor wants him to. But I just I'm hoping for a clean opening quarter of a mile, and everybody gets a fair run and a fair shot at beating him, and he gets a fair shot to run his best.
I mean, one of my worries has been that after what we all saw was the brilliant early move by Victor Espinosa in the Preakness, that the jockeys, some are more intent on keeping him pinned down inside, because I think when he gets off on about the 3rd path, I think even though he has that good turn of foot and cruising speed, I think he gets very relaxed out there, which all athletes want to perform in a relaxed setting. And I was thinking that these jockeys would be more intent on keeping them bottled up down there, and I think that could turn out to be problematic. Why? Because he'd be an athlete who's not in his comfort zone, and Espinosa prevented that with social inclusion in the Preakness, and I wonder if there's going to be some tactics early in the race to keep him down inside.
He showed me he had a little fight in him. I mean, social inclusion tried to really race ride him, the rider on social inclusion around the far turn. You look at the blimp kind of shot, and they were very close. I mean, they were literally like almost shoulder to shoulder in that race. So he tried to intimidate him a little bit there and get him to run early, and he was up to the task and he warmed up to it, and yet he still won. I mean, Ride on Curlin, to me, is a colt. I don't know if is as talented as California Chrome. He's been behind him a couple of times, But to me, in watching him in the gallops at Belmont on video and having watched him here Preakness Week, he's a horse who's just maintaining his form and his weight, his demeanor. He's a colt that in a similar situation. He just keeps on ticking through thick and thin and all kinds of obstacles with all the trouble he had in the Derby, and even with the post 10 here at Pimlico in the Preakness, he worked out a pretty good trip under Joel Rosario to run second there. So, I mean, I wouldn't put it past Right On Curlin to give him a run for the money this time as well.
That happens often with horses ridden by Joel Rosario. This afternoon, Dave, down at Pimlico, some thoughts?
Oh, yeah, we have hopefully some winners today. I think we had a second last week, but we did give you that advance winner on Saturday.
Yes, we were talking to our when Dave came on, ladies and gentlemen. I said now Dave's giving out winners on the overnights. Last Friday he joined us and gave us funded 48 hours as the audience now, Dave, is watching funded score the victory that you gave them off of the overnights. That was Friday afternoon for a Sunday race, and you see the victory here. So good job, my friend. And now, as you know this sport, maybe not in the announcing booth, but certainly in the public handicapping, what are you going to do for us lately?
Well, Alan, first about funded, Alan Goldberg had a dynamite meet at Pimlico, and he had a half to in lingerie, the stakes winning in lingerie.
Yes.
Greg has made in that first asking here as well. You might want to keep an eye on. The name of the horse escapes me right now. I know I just saw it in the running line either today or tomorrow. Maybe I'll think of it before the end of the show. But a big meet for Goldberg in that 2 days of back-to-back wins. Today's fourth race, though, will go number 4, Royal Bay. He's a curious horse because he's first time in Jamie Ness's barn. A horse who's beaten double digits 3 and 4 back by almost 40 lengths and almost 11 lengths at Parks. He moves into Ness's barn for the first time for Jagger Incorporated, which I think is kind of the name for his wife's stable. And it's just curious, why did they buy this horse apparently privately with such bad form? He finds a weak field here in a non-winners of 2, and all it's going to take is a little bit of test for maybe Timeless Testament, who's the 7-5 morning line favorite, to come unwound. He got everything his own way last time out. He looks like the lone speed again today, Timeless Testament, but I have a feeling first time in the Ness barn, Royal Bay might find some newfound speed today, and so I'm going to go that side that way with Royal Bay.
Well, I know one thing. You don't go to the poorhouse by betting Jamie Ness first-time horses, especially when they are 6-1 on the morning line. So that's Royal Bay, the number 4 horse in the 4th this afternoon at Pimlico.
Okay, in the 8th race, the mile and 16th, Allowance Affair, go to the 5 in there, and that's I Play Every Day. A powerhouse win when stretching out to 2 turns for the first time. He had some talent early in his career, having run behind Pax Orbis. It's a bang early in his career, who won one of the Maryland Million races, the Maryland Million Juvenile, early on last year. But he's finally put it together with the addition of Lasix, caught a tough field on the comeback try. May at Pimlico behind Moonsong, and a triple key race, Magic Cash, I Play Every Day, obviously the winner out of there, and there was another horse out of there as well. Visually, he was stunningly impressive last time out. Son of the Belmont, Jazzle, today at Pimlico. And so he's bred to get that extra distance. He's certainly proved it. And I just love the way he ran when looking at the head-on. He's straight as an arrow.
I mean, it's kind of surprising that Trevor McCarthy went up to Monmouth Park to ride today. I was wondering that if maybe this horse wouldn't have been enough to keep him down at Pimlico today as Victor Carrasco gets the mount.
Yeah, well, Carrasco is looking to, he's got a chance to pass Trevor to lead the meet here. He puts some impact into Trevor's lead when Trevor has been out of town here the last, 2, 3, or 4 days out of the last 8 or 9 to ride out of town. And Carrasco's been riding like a house of fire. He's had a tremendous meet here, and I would say he's going to make this jockey's race very, very close today. You can't go wrong with Victor Carrasco. Leading apprentice last year, Eclipse Award winner, and he's made the transition from that to top rider in the Mid-Atlantic Circuit. And I think a jockey is going to be noticed here in the future around the country.
I'll tell you, Dave, it was a little bit more than a year ago when this Pimlico meet 2013 started. When I say start, I mean like the first 3 days of the meet, and I was keeping my stats the way I do. There was about, let's say, 28, 29 races run. Let's say 30. And 26 of them had been run by a jockey whose last name began with the letter C, and I'd never heard of Victor Carrasco. And we had somebody on Racing Across America from Maryland. I just threw it out. I said, I don't even know who this person is, and I guess he's from a riding family, but it drew my attention. This is last April, and obviously he went on to have a banner 2013 win the Eclipse Award. And as you said, we have watched over the national landscape. If you look up in an almanac, the Eclipse Award winning jockeys as an apprentice, there aren't very many, except the ones, it seems, out of Maryland, that have gone on to great heights as a journeyman. And Victor Carrasco has just picked up and continued running greatly as a journeyman.
I think he's got all of the tools to become a top rider nationwide. He's got a natural, great seat on the horse, his finishing ability. His weight is no problem at all. He's got a great attitude, and I'll tell you what kind of attitude he's got. If you follow him on Twitter, he banged up his foot in the starting gate at Delaware the other day and was complaining it hurt. He got it x-rayed. There was nothing wrong with it, just a little sore, and he says, I can't wait till my foot is 100%. So hopefully by today it'll feel a lot better.
Good.
He did ride the other day at Delaware, and, he's aiming for that title, and he's here to make an impact since Trevor's out of town.
Well, one of the great things about the modern era we live in, Dave, it's less provincial, and you can follow these great athletes with a little mouse click. Anything else, or are you good for the day?
Yeah, one more we'll go to in the 9th race, number 9, Almost an Angel. Trainer Bobby DeBona with a runner in Maryland, shipping in from the Monmouth Circuit. This is only the second horse he has run here in the last 5 years.
Oh.
So Cuba was the other horse, and he was second in the Maryland Million Classic in 2009. So I'm sure he likes crab cakes and the Maryland food like everybody else, but I don't think he's coming down just for the crab cakes. I think when you ship a horse like that down, a trainer who doesn't really regularly, put him on the van and ship him in, he's got to be feeling good. I think he'll like his chances today. The horse is in good form.
And did I read on Twitter talking about vanning the other way? Ben's Cat is going to van tomorrow morning?
I did not. I don't know what his routine is going to be. Is that what you read about?
I only found it somewhat surprising because I just thought heightened security and thing. I thought the stakes horses had to be on the grounds, but I thought I read that they're going to van up tomorrow morning, the day of the race, and obviously a great story, as you said, down your way. They'll be watching with heightened interest the Jaipur at 6 furlongs tomorrow on the turf at Belmont. Well, Dave,
we could go on for about another hour, I guess, about not only the Maryland card, but Belmont as well, because we have a good card here today and tomorrow as well. I mean, there's so much to do, so much to cover.
Well, Dave, enjoy your emceeing this afternoon as they have the All-Stars in the booth this afternoon calling racing, and Dave will be back in his regular perch tomorrow afternoon. Remember, closing day at Pimlico tomorrow afternoon. Dave, have a great afternoon, and thank you very much.
Yep, catch up with you next year, or maybe I'll see you up in Sarasota.
I suspect we'll catch you up to you before next year. Dave Rodman, ladies and gentlemen, Pimlico racetrack announcer, and as I said this afternoon, local celebrities filling in. It'll be all-stars in the booth this afternoon, and then tomorrow, closing day at Pimlico. So, terrific racing, and tomorrow, you just can't talk about it enough. One thing I will talk about is that tomorrow morning, at the Handicappers Report will be on at 8 a.m. So, as you probably could have guessed, an early bump-up time for down the stretch and racing Handicappers Report. The early post time in New York, not quite as early as Churchill Downs and Pimlico on their Triple Crown days, where they get going. I think it's about 10:30 in the morning, but Belmont Park quickly catching up as they will kick off their 13-race card at 11:35. Belmont scheduled to go. The Belmont Stakes scheduled to go off at 6:52. The 13th and finale is scheduled to go off at 8:12 tomorrow evening. And for me, what I am expecting tomorrow in the Belmont Stakes, at least, is that I have marveled at how well California Chrome has stood up through this Triple Crown series. It's been often called the Triple Crunch because of what it puts horses through, trying to win all three. We've had many horses who have had tremendous resumes fail in this spectacular bid. Ali Sheba, Real Quiet, you can go on and on. Silver Charm. To win it, it is supposed to be as difficult as it is. That is why over the last 60 plus years, Secretariat, Seattle Slew, and Affirmed in the last 60 years of racing are the only three horses to win three of America's most prestigious races in a 5-week time. I think California Chrome could run very well tomorrow. I'm not expecting him to run poorly. I'm not expecting him to tail off. What I am expecting is that A, he'll be an extremely short price that doesn't interest me, and that B, as an athletic contest, I very much like my chances with Wicked Strong. I think so many things are pointing in his direction. The 5 weeks off, the horse has been evolving into the Wood Memorial. I thought he ran tremendously well for the 19th post position in the Kentucky Derby. And all I need, or all I think I need, is A, either a little pace up front, 111 and change would be nice, or for the jockeys to truly conspire and keep California Chrome down inside. I think he'll be less comfortable because when he gets comfortable, we have seen over the last couple months, going back to the second to last race ever at Hollywood Park, how good he is when he is comfortable. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your fantastic afternoon of racing today and tomorrow. We'll see you at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning for the Handicappers Report.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.